Nerdrotic has spent years railing against cancel culture and the idea that people should be professionally punished for controversial speech or guilt by association. When one of his own longtime co-hosts, Chrissy Mayer, appeared with Melanie Mack, he considered that to be too controversial. She was benched for like 2 months, and now she's officially been removed from the show. And we're going to watch several videos today to talk about that. I have a lot to say about it. Now, before we get into this, I want to point out he has every right to decide who appears on his program. I don't think anybody's arguing otherwise. But I'm allowed to do it is not the same defense as this is consistent with everything I claim to believe. Now, the funny thing about all this is, back when I covered this all the way back, when was this video released here on my channel? May 11th, 2026. I laid out 3 possible outcomes in the order of what I think was the most likely thing that would happen. And the very first thing that I say, the very first option that I put out there is ultimately what happened. I want to bring those receipts. So let's watch this video now to prove to you guys that I saw this coming a couple months ago.
One thing I tried to do is mitigate it, because ultimately it ain't my problem. It's not Jeremy's problem. It's not Ryan's problem. But
it's really interesting because look at it this way. I think it's funny that Gary is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Let me explain here. There's 3 options in front of us. There's only 3. And I'm going to tell you the options and which way they can go. One is Gary, for lack of a better term, fires Chrissy from FNT or kicks her off FNT. Then Gary will get, at least from some portion of his viewers, called out for canceling Chrissy, throwing Chrissy out, hanging Chrissy out to dry, which is SJW shit, right? Policing speech, all that. That's what would happen. If he decides to detach himself from Chrissy, there's going to be accusations of being of censorship, of canceling, of anti-free speech, calling him an SJW. This is everything we fought against is non-canceling people or whatever, if he gets rid of Chrissy. And then Chrissy can talk about that on her channel and talk about how she was canceled from Gary, and then things will just escalate from there. There you have it. There are my receipts. I predicted this as being number 1 out of 3 options of things that Gary would end up doing. And I was correct. That is what happened. But let's watch some videos about this because I want to dissect this in a more nuanced way because there's a lot of stuff we got out there. We're going to start out with the video where Chrissy actually talks about this happening and what has happened in terms of like behind the scenes, how it all went down. I think it's quite interesting. Let's jump into that one.
Would love to take one of his toys.
Not a single question about the oranges or anything like that? No one wanted to know what the oranges are
for? We're over it. This is 2 months ago, Russell.
What's orange?
Oh my God. Are we still, what's orange? Like this shit again. Everybody knows what this is now. Everybody knows what it is.
The whole like stupid Melanie Mack drama.
Oh, that's over.
Yeah.
That's
people are on to a new thing to hate.
It takes like a week tops. If anything hangs around for a week longer, I'm like, was it longer than that?
It was 6 weeks of a very
6 weeks.
intensive.
I thought it had longer legs than that, though. I thought it would still be going on.
Well, it still is to some degree because that's why she's no longer on FNT. Like she's saying that she's not experiencing this, but that's not the reality of it. Clearly, it is still happening because the decision to let her go was made based on the liability of having her on FNT again.
Long legs followed by my firing from FNT. Very long, very successful. They did.
That official?
Oh, wait. Yeah. Is it officially fired?
It's official. Wow.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. They won. The mob won. Yay. Congrats, you guys. You guys did it.
The mob. That's really interesting because if we go back to the video that I watched, the very first one with Chrissy Mayer and Melanie Mack, the mob really just wanted Chrissy to be the hero. Right? The mob wanted Chrissy to call out the quartering for allegedly flagging and getting people's channels removed. That's what they wanted from Chrissy. They just wanted Chrissy to be the person they thought she was, which is like anti-flagging, anti-cancel culture, all of that. But Chrissy wanted to have Melanie on to talk about Jesus and Bible reading and all that shit. Nobody gave a fuck about that. You had Melanie Mack on your show at the height of the controversy, which I thought was really fucking weird. Like, why would you do that? But then you also pretended that you didn't know what the controversy was. So the mob was not against Chrissy Mayer. It was more like, hey, Chrissy's going to have Melanie on. Are you going to call out some of the bullshit? So and also there were people defending Chrissy. Like she says the mob got their way. When I was watching the FNT videos and I said that it was going to divide the fan base of FNT, quite literally some people were on Chrissy's side. There were super chats of people defending Chrissy. There were comments from people saying that Gary was wrong for doing this, for kicking Chrissy off the show. So it's such a victim mentality to act like everyone was against her. And that's the reason why. It's also taking agency away from Gary and why Gary made the decision he made. But anyway, let's continue.
I still don't fully understand.
Mob, give yourself a round of applause.
You know what?
A lot of times the mob doesn't get recognition.
Now, if someone else on FNT does something the mob doesn't like, guess what? Now a precedent has been set, and
shit,
too can be ousted.
So I will say that is kind of an interesting perspective. I thought about that the first time I watched this video, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, stuff like this has kind of happened before. We've had people on FNT who either were regulars or they were special guests, like Comic Book Girl came on and I made a video about that. And she was basically laying into the chat for saying dumb shit. She was never asked back on again. She was just basically taken off of the short list of guests, which I think is kind of funny. But that was a great stream, by the way, from FNT. The way she was like calling out chat. I think Ryan Kennel was really mad about the way Comic Book Girl, I think her name's Danica, was talking about the chat. The chat's always right. Which if you think about it, at least there's some consistency there, because part of the reason why Chrissy isn't on the show anymore is because of the divide in the chat. So that's quite interesting. But she does make a point here that what if this happens again? What if it happens to someone like Az? Oh, wait, it did. Az was wrapped up in a major controversy. And although Az isn't really a regular on FNT anymore, he wasn't let go because of controversy. He wasn't even let go for anything that he said or did. And here's the crazy thing about Chrissy Mayer. Even though I think it was really stupid for Chrissy to platform Melanie Mack, and I made that very clear in the videos when I talked about this a couple months ago, even though I think it was very stupid, the thing is, Chrissy at that point hadn't done anything wrong. Like, Chrissy platforming Melanie, really, there was, if I were in Gary's shoes, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, there should be no reason for that to be an issue. But it became an issue because people started getting mad that Chrissy did not have a spine and didn't actually speak out against stuff that she would normally speak out against. So it doesn't really, the way she's saying it, there's no example right now that's one-to-one for what happened with Chrissy. But I could see this becoming a thing that, you know, down the road, somebody else gets let go from FNT. There's a couple people that I think they would probably let go of if something like this happened. Like if somebody platformed the quartering, or, you know, someone that was not friendly with Gary. I could see it happening with a couple of channel members. But I'll save that for another video.
Chrissy, I just want to say it was very magnanimous of you to give the mob its recognition and be like, hey, you know what?
Yeah. One for the mob.
Well done. Like, you got
well done, mob.
It's also very strange to call the viewers of your channel and your content the mob that also got you removed from the show. It's such a weird victim card to pull. Like, these are your viewers. They're people that watch FNT. So now you consider the FNT viewers to be the mob, the angry mob that got you canceled? Like, I wasn't going into Friday Night Tights and saying, Chrissy Mayer needs to go. I don't think anybody, like other random people on the internet that don't watch Friday Night Tights, I don't think they were jumping in the chat to super chat $50, $100 to tell you to tell Gary to kick you off the show. Like, these are people that are viewers of FNT, that watch FNT. And now you're framing them as the angry mob that got you fired. It's so weird how that switch up happens, which, by the way, pay attention to this. If you're watching my channel for the first time, this is how quickly a content creator will switch on you if you try to hold them accountable for anything they did. Because again, I don't give a fuck that Chrissy streamed with Melanie Mack, but I do think it's interesting that she pretended, you know, that she was stupid and didn't know what was going on. That was kind of bullshit. But like there are other little things that I could probably critique, but it is really interesting that she switches up and immediately attacks the fans. Right? If she were Brie Larson or Rachel Zegler or any other woman in any other instance and immediately started calling the fans the angry mob that was trying to cancel her, there would be a million videos from Ryan Kennel, Geeks and Gamers and stuff like that. There'd be a million videos. You are quite literally doing the thing that you have sat on panels with and said is bullshit. You don't attack the fans. The people that were trying to hold you accountable are your fans. They're people that watch you on FNT.
Yeah.
They really worked hard overtime, like countless downvoting everything I've ever done. Many DMs, many emails to the people of FNT. Yeah, they did a great job.
Well, you earned it. Thank you. Well, we love you here on this little channel and always will. Always, Chrissy's always been good to me.
Nice.
And I'll always be good to Chrissy.
I'll probably do another video where I like go into more detail and I don't know, figuring out how much
and milk it a little more, right? And milk it a little more. Nothing says that I'm trying to move on from this controversy than making multiple videos about it. Which, by the way, I haven't seen it yet as the time of recording this video. Apparently, she's going to be on Tim Pool, which is funny because when Tim Pool was asked about the quartering, I think it was Alex Stein who was on there who asked about the quartering. Tim Pool was like, we can't be bothered with this. We got a lot of real world stuff going on, blah, 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 whatever. Why are you having Chrissy Mayer on, Tim? Chrissy Mayer is connected to all of this stuff. And I'm pretty sure, unless you like tell her absolutely no talking about this, she's going to mention it on your show. So I hate watching Tim Pool, but if Chrissy Mayer said something about this on Tim Pool, that's a pretty massive platform to go on and talk shit about Gary and FNT. I'm very interested to hear if she's going to say something like that on Tim Pool.
much I want to talk about it and like share about.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna cry, stay on.
So let's say for some reason you put Anna in a timeout from the Jack show, right? Like she does something you don't like. And
You understand my threshold?
Oh my
God. Wow.
sorry.
I think you have to drown her baby for me to even mention. That's
All right.
my threshold is really high.
Say that you do something Anna doesn't like, and Anna puts you in a timeout, right? And you're in a timeout for like 2
I'd be
months.
fine with that.
Would you expect Anna to call you to like let you out of the timeout? Stop laughing. You're doing it.
You're taking all the levity away from the situation.
I don't think either one of us.
Oh, really?
It's really interesting. He's like laughing so loudly, and this isn't really a critique of the situation, but like he can't even logically comprehend or respond to the question without laughing. It's so disingenuous.
They can't handle not having the spotlight.
Sorry. No.
Either one of
Wow,
us
right.
would ever dare to
Really,
try to
you
cancel
really can't
the
handle
other.
sharing focus for a minute. So let's.
Well, she's not saying literally that she would do it. What Chrissy, I can't believe I have to like translate for Chrissy here. She's trying to do a logical test to see if you could understand, like from her perspective, how it would feel to be in the position that she was in. So she's not saying that you could literally put Anna in timeout, or Anna could literally put you in a timeout. She's saying, how would you feel if this happened? It's just a hypothetical.
Let's say Cecil, one of you is fine. You're in the timeout. Anna puts you in a timeout. Okay. Would you then think it's your job to contact her about letting you out of the timeout? Or do you think it's her job to let you know about putting you out of the timeout because she put you in there?
Well, she should let me. Look, if she ever put me in timeout, I would go tell her to go fuck herself, and that would be the end of that.
You can't even engage in the hypothetical. Just answer the question. Is she supposed to call you, or are you supposed to call her? It's a really simple fucking question.
I mean, what else?
All right, the point is, I got put in a timeout, and then And then when I finally reached out to Gary to be like, hey, what the fuck is going on? Like, when were you ever going to call me to tell me what the deal was? It was like, oh, like the idea was like that I should have reached out sooner, but it's like, what? Like
You have to kiss the ring. I've been saying this about these guys for years now. Like, you have to kiss the ring. If anything that you do, regardless of whether or not it is something that you did consciously or something that you just happen to be involved in or whatever it might be, you got to pay your dues. You got to kiss the ring. You have to show humility to Gary because Gary is the top of the pyramid. He's the top of the tower. He's living in the penthouse. He has the really expensive fucking suite at the top of this penthouse at the top of this tower. And because all of you other people are living in different tier housing underneath of him, he doesn't have time to worry about what the peasants are doing, right? You are all just pawns and peasants and whatever to him. Literally, he's just focused on his business. And when we get to his video, I'll talk more about that, but he's just focused on his business. So you might think you're friends with him. We're friends. So if he told me I was in a timeout as a friend, he should have called me and told me when the timeout was going to be over. But the truth is, the timeout was never going to be over. And Gary thought, well, if I don't ask you back on in 2.5 months, it's pretty obvious that you as a peasant should know that we're done. You're not coming back. But to you thought there was a friendship there. That's where you fucked up. That's where you fucked up. You thought there was a friendship. And just like with all of these fucking content creators who rely on each other and pretend to be cool with each other, any of these guys in the space, you were only there because you can benefit them in some way, whether it be clout or financial or outreach or whatever it is. You're only there for that reason, or to fill in space, or in Chrissy's case here, to legitimize women being a part of FNT, being a part of this misogynistic incel community. You're there to serve that purpose. That's why you were there. I know you want to believe it's because you added so much to the fandom, but clearly you didn't, because many fans of FNT expressed that you didn't really watch the movies or the TV show, so you didn't really add much in that way. Maybe you could have talked about wokeness or whatever from the perspective of a woman, but all of your perspectives there just serve the interest of the men on the panel, which is why a lot of times you would sit there very silent and not contribute whatsoever, because you understood the assignment, and that's why you were a regular on the show. But the minute you were involved in controversy, you became expendable to Gary because you were never really his friend. It's very clear here based on your telling of the situation. You were never really his friend, and you were never really important to FNT. And now you have found out firsthand that very fact, something that I have talked about, again, for years, that every single person associated in this community, the friendship is very surface level. It is friendship on display for the viewers. That's it. Maybe there's a couple of them, and I'm only saying this because I can't be 100% sure about every single member, but I truly believe outside of maybe a couple of them, this is their level of connections with everyone that they associate with. There might be some people that have their own background relationships that go beyond, the internet, but Chrissy, you're finding out you were not one of those people.
Me in the timeout. It's like if you fire somebody, or if you're an athlete put on like administrative leave or whatever from your job, it's not up to the person in the timeout.
Right, the person
I love that you're referring to it as a job. That's a really interesting perspective. It makes Gary's position even stronger when you understand that it was a job, meaning that the friendship shouldn't have even played into it. You're asking for a favor from what you're considering to be your boss, essentially.
The boss, basically. It's his show.
The boss is the one that's supposed to reach out and let you know the deal.
Agree.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Because
it's totally unprofessional of Gary, which, by the way, it doesn't really surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all.
otherwise, what are you how are you supposed to know
Yeah.
anything?
Also, you were kind of a standout on that show, to be honest.
Was she? I mean, if you mean stand out by being like one of the 3 women that are ever on the show, maybe. But I don't think in all the clips that I've ever watched of FNT, Chrissy Mayr is not really a focal point of any of those clips. And I've watched a lot of them over like the last 3 years.
Well, like, whatever. It's
Look, we don't want to drag this back up, but Ethan Van Sciver said something a long time ago, and we all know why it started a feud, but we also kind of knew that it was a little bit true.
I couldn't understand what Russell just said.
I don't know what he
kind of
said.
tuned out.
The chat probably remembers, but the point is, you were actually funny. I kind of feel like that's what the show needs, because it's otherwise just.
Well, it's interesting because, like, I mean,
so that's quite a perspective. So the show isn't funny in general. I mean, I totally agree. I think the show is full of a lot of unfunny people. I don't know if Chrissy Mayr is funny. I know she's a comedian. But you can have a job and just not be the greatest at your job. And subjectively, I think her being a comedian as a title is fine. Her being a funny comedian, to me, I'd push back against that.
the fans would say it's changed for, like, you know, they kind of stopped having a lot of different guests, and at a certain point it just became the same 5, 6, 7 guests, and
it has been.
He stopped taking risks. Like, at one point I was told to stop making as many like racial jokes, you know, like when I was getting ready to do
Oh, that's an interesting bit of information. So you were told by Gary to stop making racist jokes. Now, we don't have a timeline on when that happened. Like, when was she told this? I'd have to go back and spend a lot more time looking at FNT than I really want to. But at some point, she did something that I think went too far, and Gary was like, you got to pull back on the racist jokes. That's crazy, considering you got Ryan Kennel right there on the panel with you. Ryan is right there. But okay.
or something, and I was like, wow, okay. Happy to do it. Happy to
Wait.
So censorship, that's funny. Again, that's directly calling for censorship on his program. And as I said at the beginning of this video, nobody's saying that he can't do that. It's absolutely his channel, his podcast, do whatever the fuck he wants to do with it. But you're advocating for censorship for one of your guests who's a regular on your panel, a co-host / guest on your channel. I don't really know what the title would be. But you're advocating for this regular on your panel to not make racist jokes. Okay.
Is that the Eric Shalai bug coming in?
No. No, it was like
it might be a little bit.
it was one of the characters I had done, one of the impressions, and like I was told to like tone down.
Oh,
see, the thing is, the whole.
Why was Eric July's name brought up there? What's the lore on that? I might have to dig and look for that one. I don't have time to do it right now, but I'm going to dig and look for that. That's interesting.
Premise of the movement of these guys, and I know these guys, you know, I don't have a problem with anybody, but is that we were the anti-cancel culture guys.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we were, the whole reason for this whole thing was the cancel culture on the left. This was the sounding board for, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're doing that too. We're doing it. Like, Chrissy's been canceled already.
Oh yeah.
I want to pause there. A lot of weird shit was just said. So cancel culture is a cultural system where someone is starved of resources that prevent them from having any sort of platform. So like going after them on social media, trying to get them taken off of Twitter, off of Instagram, trying to get their YouTube removed, trying to get get them fired from their jobs. That is what cancel culture is. Individually holding someone accountable from your podcast, but then not going after their other outlets is not one-to-one cancel culture. And I just want to be very clear here. I do believe there is a double standard internally of removing somebody from a podcast they're a part of, a job that they have, where you're employing them based on guilt by association. I think that's definitely a double standard. I think it's definitely hypocrisy. I don't think it directly lines up with cancel culture. I will say the concept of censoring someone or removing them in general, you could broaden that a little bit. And you could say, yes, so Gary doesn't believe in cancel culture. So why would Gary want to get rid of somebody on his show for doing something controversial? Because that goes against everything that Gary believes in. And I think you could broadly kind of look at that and go, that doesn't make sense logically. It doesn't break the chain of consistency there too much, but it bends it a little bit. I think you could look at it that way. But there's absolutely a double standard going on with Chrissy in terms of being controversial, doing something, and then letting the viewers dictate whether or not that person is allowed to be a part of something, which is, if we're talking about like someone like Gina Carano or any other person in Hollywood where the public wanted that person gone, and it was somebody that was conservative and did something edgy, Gary and Ryan and Jeremy and all of those guys would say that's wrong. That person should be able to keep their job. You shouldn't fire them. Just keep them, let them work, let them have their free speech. Guilt by association is stupid. So the double standard is there. But I think saying it's a comparison 1-to-1 with cancel culture, I don't know if I agree with that.
Chrissy's been canceled for being, a January 6er, for being on the.
I also think saying that she's canceled is also wrong. I might have jokingly said that in the past, but like if we're looking at the situation right now that we have actually seen that she is gone from Friday Night Tights, she's officially been fired from Friday Night Tights. I think we say that it's not necessarily a cancellation because they're not going after all of her social media. They're not trying to get her channel taken away or whatever. But they are. There is a double standard there when it comes to how Gary is running his business versus how other places run their business.
Right, for being an anti-COVID vaxxer, anti-vaxxer. Like, she's already been canceled 10 times over. And the reason you guys reached out to her is because...
Well, but if someone is canceled, they're canceled. This idea of being canceled, but then still having a platform and then getting held accountable for something else, but still having a platform is not canceled. That's an incorrect application of what the term canceled means or what cancel culture is. That doesn't make sense. You get canceled, period. And if you don't get canceled, then it's something else.
So that's, that was like the whole thing. Like, we're anti-cancel. And then it's like, well, maybe you should tone down this racism. Maybe you should, and well,
that's censorship. That's not cancel. That's censorship.
Maybe you're too spicy for this show now, or whatever. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's like,
that's not cancel culture
that you were fighting against, really.
Well, no, not exactly. Again, I'm not trying to defend Gary here, but what they're doing is not what cancel culture is. And someone cannot get canceled multiple times because if they are canceled, they are gone. There's very few people who are actually canceled, right? There's a lot of celebrities that people say, oh, they were canceled. They're not canceled. They might be held accountable and they might lose some opportunities, but if they still have a platform and they're still relevant in some way, they're not canceled. Chrissy Mayer is on your show right now. She's got her own podcast. She's going to be on Tim Pool, or she is on Tim Pool right now. I'm not sure what time that's airing or whatever. That's not canceled.
I can't stand.
Yeah, it's just a bad precedent to set to let the mob dictate who
the mob
who gets moved from the
notoriously
show.
The fans of FNT.
Well,
or the mob.
Yeah.
Look, I wouldn't disagree. Look, in some ways I don't disagree with that. I do think that most people that watch FNT are part of this really stupid mob, but I think it's funny to hear her say that because it literally is the fans of FNT. Because it's not going to be the quartering fans are going to come over and tip $100 to Gary to say kick Chrissy Mayer off. So it's the FNT people.
Ultimately, it's business. If he's the Gary's making fucking big money. It's a business. It's an industry at this point. And if he's gonna have anybody risking it, it might be. You know what I mean? He might have been looking to cut you loose long ago, and this was an excuse.
But then do that. But then do it long ago when you're thinking of it. Or
just do it and say that's the reason why. But you know what I mean? He used this as did she strike a channel? No. Did she endorse striking? No. She had somebody on who worked for somebody who did. I'm like, how many fucking degrees of separation can we get here? It's really.
And that's a good point. That was what I was saying earlier. It's not necessarily cancel culture for something that Chrissy actually did. It is a guilt by association punishment. That's what it is. It's a guilt by association punishment, and it's really funny.
But I think the thing is, if you were doing stuff that was too racy for them, and he was kind of iffy about it, he was looking for a reason, and that was it.
On the other hand, you could have showed a little more skin, to be honest.
Oh my God, Russell.
Oh yeah, that's a problem that I'm breastfeeding too much, but not enough on camera, I guess.
Exactly. Yes.
But it's business. Like it's it's a fucking.
Get out the oranges.
But he should just have the guts enough to say, like, to me, I'd be like, it would be a better thing instead of using this as some bullshit. Like, you didn't fucking strike anybody's channel or fucking endorse striking a channel or any, and they use that as like, no. But they were probably looking to get rid of you from.
I also want to point out that this isn't really the way it went down. Like what Cecil is saying here doesn't really add up. It doesn't matter that she was or wasn't endorsing it. Okay. What was happening was she did the stream with Melanie. People were coming in. They were super chatting Chrissy to try and get Chrissy to hold Melanie accountable for supporting the striking of channels, supporting quartering and all the dumb shit he's been doing. And they were looking to Chrissy to be someone that stands on business. Right? That's what they were doing. So the fans of FNT, the ones who were in Chrissy's corner, turned on Chrissy because Chrissy was behaving in a fucking sus way. She was behaving in a way that just didn't seem logically consistent with the behaviors and the things that she had done on FNT because Melanie is her friend and people saw the bullshit. They called out the bullshit. And then her pretending that she didn't know what was going on when clearly she did. Multiple sources have said that she knew. She slipped up on a few podcasts she's been on where she's talked about it. She did kind of know what was going on. So she lied about that too. So that's what was happening, right? Now, I don't know if that's the reason why Gary decided to like let her go from the podcast, because none of that seemed to move the needle for Gary. It really was just the controversy of Chrissy being connected to Melanie and then having people coming in and trolling FNT because of that reason, which distracts the show from being about cape shit, because that's really all he wants to talk about is Disney princesses and cape shit. That's what the show's about. So they didn't want the controversy from this. That's essentially what it is. So Chrissy isn't some innocent victim in all of this. Like, Chrissy played a part in it. To what degree that part had anything to do with Gary's decision, we don't know.
Fucking other reasons, and they jumped on the opportunity, in my opinion. I could be wrong.
Yeah, that and that legitimately seems odd to me. I mean, I can understand keeping you on hiatus, but just dropping you.
I'm gonna need to.
But what's the difference? Like indefinite hiatus and fired. What's the difference in that in the terms of the internet? So like Chrissy sits around, can I come on this week? No, not this week. How about this week? No, not this week. And it constantly is no over and over and over again. It's better to just let her go if you're not ever going to let her back on. Like, if the controversy is too much now, it's going to be too much in 3 months. The minute they announce Chrissy is returning to FNT, the trolls would come in and it would turn into like fucking Crazy Town. That's not what they wanted.
Watch a video on this because I am still
it's a
super
lot.
fucking
Like, yeah, and there's so many videos with like just full of lies out there.
No, I would watch your video.
But it's not even really difficult. I'm so tired of this lazy, like, I have to watch so many videos. I don't understand it. Here's what happened. For anybody that's watching this, and we're like 30 minutes into the video, Chrissy Mayer platformed Melanie Mack on a podcast. Melanie Mack is connected to the quartering. The quartering allegedly flagged and got channels removed from YouTube and from other platforms. Chrissy then pretended that she didn't know that Melanie Mack had anything to do with all this stuff, proceeded to take super chats from people, didn't read them out, pretended like there was no big deal, and that's the drama. That's it. That's the whole thing. It's really not more complicated than that.
Because the people who have the most, like, the people who have the most money to make off of this are the ones that are like pushing the lies and like going with the most dramatic, for narrative of it.
You should have known.
Except you made a ton of money off of it too. I think they pointed out that you made thousands of dollars on that stream with Melanie Mack. But now it's wrong now. to get on stream and take money and lie when you literally lied in your stream with Melanie Mac and took money.
Chrissy, like, okay, like I think the thing is quartering was not giving them the reaction they wanted, so they just went after softer targets that would hurt.
Whatever happened to the quartering too? I knew it had something to do with him.
He streamed today, I think.
Oh,
he's still going, and he's gonna just.
All right, we're going to stop there because it kind of doesn't really add much more to the conversation about that. We're going to jump over to Gary's video because Gary has a video where he talks about this on FNT. It's a really short video, but I want to dive into that. And then we have, I think, 2 more clips to watch in relation to this. And then I'll give my final thoughts on it. But this is really interesting to me because I wanted to follow up on this and see what the fallout was going to be. And knowing now that Chrissy has been officially fired from FNT, it brings a new perspective into things.
Garfield's Bizarre Adventure for $50. What's up, dude?
Again, a $50 super chat to ask a question about Chrissy Mayer. I highly doubt this is someone from an angry mob who was anti-FNT and anti-Chrissy Mayer prior to what happened with Melanie Mac. That doesn't make sense. But let's continue.
Oh, it finally gets brought up. Okay. Looks like
finally gets brought up. So he was waiting. Gary was waiting for this to be brought up. That's interesting. But I thought you didn't like the drama. Wouldn't it have been better for you to just silently let her go and then nobody ever talk about it? Wouldn't that have been better? Oh, but somebody finally brought it up. Giving it away, Gary.
Chrissy is still seething that she got the boot from FNT, and now she is doing the rounds claiming she got canceled. She dressed up as Frost so many times she became her. The house always wins. Well, thank you, Garfield. Chrissy is no longer on the show. I think that's
there we have it. Confirmation, no longer on the show. Now, there was speculation about this because there was an intro video where she was removed from the intro video, like they took her out of it. But now we're getting the confirmation that she's no longer on the show. So let's go back and start over.
As Frost so many times she became her. The house always wins. Well, thank you, Garfield. Chrissy is no longer on the show. I think that's been pretty obvious to a lot of people.
So that's really interesting. See, when I said that Gary doesn't have time for the peasants, he doesn't give a fuck about anybody else, which is why I didn't care if Chrissy ever heard from him directly that she had been fired. It was kind of stupid that Chrissy needed to hear it from him. That's how he felt about it, based on what he's saying here. Just based on what he's saying.
And listen, I'm not going to pile on Chrissy. I don't know what she's saying. Whatever. I will just say I wish her the best. Truly wish her the best in her future endeavors. And
not that. Not I wish you the best in your future endeavors. That's cold. That's one of the coldest responses you can get from someone. You were never friends with this person, Chrissy. You were never friends. Not really. You were never friends with Gary. And the interesting thing is everybody on this panel, Fake Ass Wizard, Disparu, Quarter Black Garrett, which is probably a little bit more safe because he's somebody that does work for Nerdrotic, Comics Division, Shad, all of you pay attention. There's a very thin line between employed and we wish you the best on your future endeavors. It's a very thin line. Take notice.
Appreciate her time here. That Frost skit was great, but yeah, that's about it. Not good. And appreciate her time here. That Frost skit was great, but yeah, that's about it. Not going to get embroiled in all that. That was the whole point.
But you just said somebody finally asked about it. But now you don't want to get involved in it. Now it's embroiled into controversy. Remember the receipts I had at the beginning of this video when I said this is probably like the number one thing that he's going to do? He actually did it. But the funny thing was I gave 3 options. This was the one that I thought was the most likely, but also the one that is going to divide the fans. Right? It's really going to divide people because it puts Gary in a really bad spot where now he has become the SJW that he rallied against. He's the one doing all the stuff that he seems to despise in Hollywood and on social media. He's become that person. All right, here's one from Jeremy, Geeks and Gamers, and I think he's talking about the Tim Pool situation. This is a very, very short one, but let's hear what he has to say about it.
Chrissy's going to be on Timcast. Hope it goes well.
He is not happy about that. He is not happy about that. These guys are not happy about it. Look at his face. Not happy about her being on Tim Pool's podcast, on Timcast. Now, I assume, as I said, if there is something said about all of this on Tim Pool's podcast, these guys will Jeremy will 100% make a video about it. He'll talk about it on a live stream. So that's for certain. We'll talk about it depending on what she says. We might talk about it on a live stream here, or I might make a separate video about it if I have a chance. But definitely something that they should be worried about.
Hope she makes $1 million. Hope she makes $1 million. I did see that there's like, I'm not, there's so much to respond to, but I'm honestly, I'm not going to respond to any of it because I think the people that are talking should continue to talk, and I'll just continue to grift because that's what I do best. And I think that the people out there talking should continue to talk. I think they are doing, they're doing me a favor. And I hope they keep talking.
Here's the thing. I am very curious if Jeremy has been told by Gary to chill on covering Chrissy Mayer. I'm curious because he didn't say a lot in this clip. And he seemed to kind of skate around stuff. And we know that he was making tons of videos about this when it first happened. So that's kind of interesting. Let's wrap this up. We have a clip from the Quartering of all people talking about this. And it's interesting because this is the person that kind of caused all of this to happen. All right, here we go. Let's see what Quartering has to say.
When is Chrissy Mayer doing her first appearance on what? I'm not sure.
Again, playing stupid. Is this what all these guys do? They just pretend they don't know what's going on.
Is she on a new show? Shout out to her.
So stupid.
I thought she was only on a timeout from Friday Night Tights. Friday Night Tights, the show told me. I even got community noted that said she wasn't fired for having Melanie Mack on her podcast.
See, you already know what's going on. This is why it frustrates me so much with these channels is that they pretend they don't know something when they know something. He knew what was going on. You knew what that comment was about. You immediately went into exactly what that comment was about.
But it seems to me that she has been fired. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but those free speech.
You don't know what happened? Let's run this back. You don't know what happened? Come on, bro.
Having Melanie Mack on her podcast. But it seems to me that she has been fired. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but those free speech warriors over on that show who were really upset about people getting deplatformed one of their own creators for doing a podcast with somebody they didn't like. That's what it looked.
So that's the thing, is it is a free speech thing. And this is correctly framed. Like, it is a issue with censorship, free speech, and a deplatforming issue from your own podcast. So this is correctly framed. It's not cancel culture. As much as they want to call it that, it's not cancel culture. It is censorship against free speech and a form of deplatforming. I hate to give credit to the Quartering, but that's what it is.
Warriors over on that show who were really upset about people getting deplatformed one of their own creators for doing a podcast with somebody they didn't like. That's what it looks like to me.
That's what it is.
You know, I got community noted and said she wasn't fired. But I'm pretty sure she hasn't been on the show ever since she had Melanie Mack on her show.
Correct.
So, you know, not very free speech of them.
Correct.
You know, not very free speech of them. Now, I was told that she wasn't fired.
Which, by the way, we're going to talk about the double standard and hypocrisy and what he's saying here in a second. Don't worry, I got you guys.
But looks like to me that she was fired for simply having Melanie Mack on her show. But I don't know. Not in those rooms. I don't know the inner workings of what they did. So thought they dropped her because trolls in the chat would determine the show and not follow what was discussed. Well, I mean, there's two ways to handle that. I mean, you can block and mute the trolls, or you can be a pussy and be more worried about your super chats. You know, I choose to block and mute trolls who have a problem with my co-hosts or people I have on the show. That's one way to handle it.
Or you report them and get their channels taken down. That's the other thing, right? So, like I said, I got you guys. The irony here of talking about free speech and deplatforming is like, is Alanis Morissette in the building? Like the irony of even holding that standard over the heads of FNT, from like all of these channels are trash bags. They're all fucking completely overfilled trash bags of garbage, right? So calling each other out and virtue signaling and concern trolling, it's all performative to try and hold some sort of moral standard above someone else. But they're all doing the same shit. These channels are all doing the same thing. They're playing the same dirty games.
The other way to handle it is to be a massive floppy vagina and be afraid of losing a few super chats. And
a floppy vagina? What are you doing, bro?
And fire your co-host who'd been on the show for years. That's another way to handle things. It's not how I would handle it. You know, people say a lot of things to me about Melanie Mack, for example. They don't like Melanie, or people hated Luke when he was on the show. I don't give a shit.
It's really funny for you to get on here and be like, yeah, you know, Melanie Mack, a lot of people don't like Melanie Mack. A lot of them. Enough of them for you to have to ignore them. So it's really fucking crazy, cuckoo crazy, Cocoa Puffs crazy for you to get on here and say, well, you know, Melanie, I got a lot of hate mail about Melanie. A lot of people didn't like her, but I kept her on anyway.
Don't watch then. That's just how I would handle it. You know, the other way is to be a huge pussy and be worried about losing a few super chats. That's another way to handle it.
You got an obsession with a certain body part right now. Can we move on from that?
One way is to bend the knee to the mob and be a giant vagina. Another way is to tell the mob to get bent. These are just two different ways of handling it. I'm not saying one way is better than the other. I'm not saying anyone's a huge pussy for bending the knee to a few trolls in chat. I'm just saying that's not how I handle it. And
no, you just deplatform people, right? That's how you do it. You get channels removed, you get people banned from social media. That's how you handle it, right? That's what you meant to say. I think this whole thing is interesting. The reason why I'm talking about it again is I'm following up on the controversy back when it happened in May and when all of this sort of went down. Because I've made my position very clear. I don't support false flagging or silencing channels just because you don't like them or you don't like what they're saying about you. Like, I don't support that from anybody. I think it's scumbag shit. I think it's wrong. I think it sets a really bad standard. And we're seeing it all over the place. Multiple people now in this general area of YouTube are now just okay with flagging and having channels removed because they don't like what people are saying about them. Again, I got the receipts. I say these things, they happen. I don't know. Maybe I have magical powers. I'm not sure. But I was right about this whole thing with FNT and Chrissy Mayer and Nerdrotic. Again, I gave 3 options. The very first one I gave, the one that I thought was the most likely, was the one that happened, which was she got fired because there's just no path for her to come back. I didn't see any way out of this for her. And to be quite honest, she brought some of it on herself. But she wants to play the victim and call the fans of the show the mob. She's attacking the fans, as they would say in their space. And it's really funny to me that Gary has handled this so poorly And the people around him seem to be completely lost on what they're supposed to be doing. Like, nobody has a backbone. Nobody has a spine. No one is really speaking up about it because they know that they would get removed from FNT as well. If anybody on that panel disagreed with Gary and said, hey, I wouldn't remove Chrissy because of something controversial, then they would be removed from FNT because it would put them in direct opposition of what Gary's decision was. And everybody's got to fall in line or you're out the door. It's really that simple. And so no one's going to take Chrissy's side unless they're no longer on FNT or they have no interest in supporting FNT anymore. You're not going to see not one person that is a regular on Friday Night Tights will speak up for Chrissy at all. And she thought that people on that show were her friends. You fucked up right there. You fucked up immediately believing that. I have learned the hard way from going from podcast to podcast to show. These hoes ain't loyal in here. There's no loyalty. There's no friendship. One of the things I love about streaming by myself is that I am only accountable for me, for what I say and what I do. It's a huge freedom to be able to do that. I love my group streams, and there's certain podcasts that I do love going on, but I ultimately like doing shit by myself because the only person in control of what I'm saying and what I'm doing is me, myself. I control the editing. I control my notes. I control what videos I'm looking at. It's all on me. So her believing that the people in that space had her back and thought for a second that if they're going to go against Gary, I don't know what to tell you. Delusional. Absolutely 100% delusional. But I'm not surprised. Again, I predicted this 2 months ago. Give me my flowers. Give me my flowers now. Fuck FNT.